Sujit, thank you for sitting down with me. We're here at the PGDC meetings in Winnipeg this week, and you are here with your team from Western Crop Innovations. It's a big anniversary coming up, your 1 year anniversary since Field Crop Development Center became Western Crop Innovations, or WCI. I'm just curious, before we talk about WCI and the big 1 year anniversary, I was hoping you could tell me your story, what brought you to Canada from Pakistan and how you ended up in Alberta at the FCDC and now WCI.
Thank you, Mark. It's my pleasure to meet you, and thank you for your time. I grew up in Pakistan. I did my undergraduate studies from Pakistan, and after completing my bachelor's in agriculture, I was looking for opportunities to study abroad. It was my dream at that time, and I got a scholarship from Netherlands Higher Education, and I ended up in Wageningen University in Netherlands. So it's a very prestigious and a top-ranking university in agriculture research. I started my master's in crop science and specialization in integrated pest management. And from there, I got a scholarship to continue my research as a PhD student. And I did my 2 postdocs there. So I spent 12 years, almost 12 years in the Netherlands. And then I got a job in ICARDA. So it's an international center for agriculture research in dry areas. It was established in Syria in 1977, and then it was relocated after war. And I joined them in Morocco, in Rabat. So we had 2 breeding stations, main breeding stations. One was in Rabat and one was in Lebanon, Tarbol. I spent there 7 years, and my main role were to support the breeding programs: wheat, winter wheat, spring wheat, winter barley, spring barley, and gene banks. And there I was doing the same kind of work, research work, what I'm doing here, supporting a breeding program, working with the biotechnologists, agronomists, socioeconomic, and breeders to develop varieties which will be used by the farmers. And then I decided to immigrate to Canada in 2019, and I ended up in Nova Scotia. The job opportunities at that moment were less, and I established the plant health lab on behalf of Nova Scotia Department of Agriculture in Nova Scotia, and I was working at Perennia. So it's a Crown corporation like FCDC, and they receive all the funding from the ministry. And I worked there 2 years and 3 months, and then this opportunity came up in FCDC, and it really aligned with my research background, because I was working in resistance breeding in cereals, and then it was the same kind of opportunity. So it was a good fit, and I applied for that job, and I started in February 14, 2022 in FCDC.
Now, like I say, FCDC is now Western Crop Innovations, WCI. It's about to celebrate its 1st-year anniversary as WCI after going through its initial transition period. You'll have your first AGM coming up. You're planning your field day in Lacombe for July. You'll have a permanent executive director soon. And I'm just curious, what excites you most about WCI and then where it is right now in terms of its evolution?
When I joined the FCDC at that time, so now WCI, I see like in 3 years already it has evolved a lot, like their research priorities. So now, for example, more focus on feed and forage barley. So you have a clear guideline that you have most of your breeding program should be focused on feed and forage. And barley at least, and then for triticale is also for feed and forage primarily, and then malt is still 25% to 20%. And that's, I see like a clear guideline. Before, maybe more focus, maybe 50% of the focus was on malt barley and 50% feed and forage, but now it is more focused, I see. And then and we have very committed colleagues and staff, and they're very resilient throughout those changes. And then none of us left, even though the situation was very tough. And and I think that we are on the right path, and we just need more sustainability. And because when you are doing research for the farmers of Western Canada, it's not an expense. It's an investment for the farmers. And you cannot measure it directly and monetarily. If an institute is there and if there is no extension service also, we go out for disease surveys, for example, we meet with the farmers and we see a gap. I saw a gap. The farmers, for example, they don't have anybody to talk to except the companies who are marketing their seed. So you need an independent, honest opinion. If I'm a farmer, I need that, and which I feel it's missing at that time. I see farmers are growing the same varieties which they have been asked, or they're told, or they are marketed. So it's like salesmen, that you're good in selling things, but is it good for the farmer? I think that component is missing, and I think that's where we can fill that gap in with more capacity.
In terms of your biggest challenges as a pathologist right now, what would you say the biggest challenge you have is in doing your work at the moment?
For us, I am working in a collaboration with federal government. So we have a broad network of pathology. So for my main focus is to test the populations which are developed by breeders. So where we have ideal combination of traits. So, and the life of the breeder is already very tough, and because you keep on adding your wish list of traits, and every trait should be incorporated that variety, otherwise it cannot be accepted by the market. For example, you should have quality trait, you should have agronomic performance, and also you should have pathology trait. For example, we need any barley line which has to be registered. It should have resistance to 7 priority 1 diseases on top of quality and agronomic performance. So it's a tough task, and out of thousands of lines, maybe you will end up 2 or 3 lines which will become potentially a variety. So I think that's where I feel it is, that's a challenge, and we have to test those lines in each disease has its own it needs its more disease conducive conditions. And for example, in Alberta, if the conditions are good for one of the disease, it's not good for the other. But because the variety, once it is registered for whole Western Canada. So you have to test your material at disease hotspots. So each disease has its own hotspot, and we test them. And then once we get back the data, then we give that feedback to the breeders, and which is very important because, for example, if I'm a breeder and I have 10,000 lines, I don't have resources to just move forward everything. So based on those inputs from biotechnology, from pathology, from quality, then you narrow down and you have only few winners. So the main challenge I feel is we need more sustainability. That's number one. And otherwise there is dedication. We can put everything behind us. We work irrespective of the condition. We grow, we put our trials every year, whether last year the conditions were unclear till March, end of March, but we were still planning and going for planting as planned, nothing happened. So that's what I think we need more sustainability. Financially, it's a not profit making institute. None of the institutes anywhere in the world, even in developing world, they are supported by the public funding, and the impact is measured in terms of the yield and then the production in that season. It's not a business. It's an investment to support the farmers.
Speaking of stability, like I said, WCI is about to celebrate 1 year. When you think down the road, let's say this time next year, where do you hope WCI will be?
I feel that WCI means we lack ownership. We don't know where we belong at this time of point, because now we have not-for-profit organization. But who has the ownership, real ownership? Because so I feel that there will be a clear path So, for example, AGI will own it. And then financially, because now we are supported by Ardar and AGI. And then and it is a yearly basis. We need long-term stability because breeding program, it's like once you have your priorities set, you need to start from the beginning. And it really takes 8 to 10 years since you redefine your priorities, then you will have some product. So for example, if you say, we say that, okay, we need a trait X in our germplasm, which you didn't have before. So you will start making crosses by choosing 2 parents, starting from the beginning, and that will be your year 1. And then you will have, like, every year you will have 2 or 3 generations, and after 6 or 7 years, when the material is fixed and you have that trait of interest, then you will have multi-location trials for 2 or 3 years. And if it's meeting all the standards, then it will become a variety. So I think we need stability we need financial stability, at least over core funding, which will support staff. Because if I will run after projects only for my staff time, then it's not a teamwork, because we will be in silos then. Breeders, they will develop their own projects, and then they will have their own staff time. And then in the end, you will have less and less people, and there will be more insecurity, and then no synergies. See, at the moment, we are working as one unit, and I would like to see is working as one unit. It's more efficient and effective and more productive.
Yeah, so when you have people working in those silos, it can be really challenging. So the more partnerships, more collaboration you have, the better.
Yeah, and you complement each other, and that's the way I see it, and I think that's how we can be more efficient, effective, and focused.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me, Sajid.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.